Yo, we're back with another Who is Thanos video, and in this video we're going to finally dive into part 1 of the Thanos quest. I'm very excited to cover this. I've been very excited to finally get this going. Thanos Quest is a 2-part series that dropped in 1990, the year that I was born. Now, Thanos was pretty much irrelevant in the 80s in Marvel Comics. He really didn't appear in any major storyline in the 80s, and this was somewhat of his revival. So let's get into it. So the story follows Thanos' quest to obtain the 6 soul gems. On the cover at the bottom it states, individually, they contain power beyond comprehension. Together, they could destroy a universe, and Thanos must have them all. Part 1 is called Schemes and Dreams. We start with a reincarnated Thanos standing over the Infinity Well trying to gain knowledge. Apparently, Mistress Death has assigned a task of destroying half the population of the universe to Thanos. He claims that his mission is endangered by outside interference and it could take him centuries to accomplish this, but he states that he could expedite this by getting more power, and obviously his way of gaining more power is through obtaining the 6 soul gems. He is reminded that he admittedly failed the last time he did this, which references his battle with Adam Warlock and the Avengers, but he asked for Death's permission to pursue this so that he can expedite his plans, and this is granted. He says that he wants to go after the In-Betweener first, who is in possession of one of the stones. We then see Thanos head out. So the In-Betweener is currently a prisoner of Lord Chaos and a Master Order, who we first learned about in part 5 of this series when I covered the 2-in-1 annual with The Thing and Spider-Man. This trip to see Order and Chaos is physically taxing, and he wouldn't have dared to do this in his previous incarnation. Nonetheless, he arrives in the nexus of reality where Chaos meets Order. Of course, this is guarded, but he easily blasts the guards away. He lets the In-Betweener know that he's trying to free him, and of course he's skeptical of Thanos' motivations, but he decides to go along with it in order to get himself freed. So they attack the bubble that he's trapped in and it breaks, thus freeing him. Hilariously, they were both plotting on each other and had ulterior motivations. Thanos smacks the In-Betweener, who realizes that his powers don't work in the nexus of reality. They only worked in the bubble because they allowed them to. Thanos, on the other hand, well, Order and Chaos has no power over him and can't detect him. Thanos takes the soul gem from his head, leaves, and Order and Chaos then appear, and they see that the In-Betweener has broken out of his cage. Though he tries to explain what happened, they ain't trying to hear none of that. Now, if you were following the previous encounters with Thanos, you may be confused because you thought these gems were destroyed. Thanos does say that the gem he just took from the In-Betweener was indeed Adam Warlock's at one point. But we see Death and her sidekick pull up on Thanos. Death wants to know of Thanos' true intentions. Thanos is somewhat irritated at even being questioned, thinking that he's proved his loyalty time and time again. He reassures Death that he's serving her, but in this strip we learn that Thanos does indeed have a true plan he has yet to reveal. He realizes that because she's watching him, he has to be careful. But his next visit is the planet Temerita, which is always at war, being conquered and reconquered. The elder called Champion lives here and also has a stone on his forehead. Champion is an immortal who loves to fight, so this place is like paradise to him. So Thanos approaches Champion, who according to him doesn't even know of the power of the gem. He simply wears it as a good luck charm, thinking his power is his own. Regardless, Thanos says that he'd like to have words with him, basically wanting to fight and take the planet away from him. Champion then swings on Thanos, but he ducks the punch and grabs his hair, followed by a punch of his own. Thanos is winning this battle by tactic and tricks. During the fight, Thanos puts up an invisible force field that Champion begins to attack. Thanos is recognizing his power and says this must be what it is like to fight the Hulk, something that he has always sought to do. Champion jumps up in the air to power up this strike at Thanos, but right as he is about to make contact with the ground, Thanos disappears via teleportation. So with the power of an atomic arsenal, he hits the ground of the planet, sending a seismic disruption which sets up a bunch of volcanoes. So one thing led to another and he blew up the entire planet. This was all part of Thanos' plan to get him angry so he'd make this mistake. So they're floating in space and Champion realizes that he's screwed. He begs Thanos to transport him to another planet, and Thanos says he will, but only after he gives up his soul gem. So he does, but keep in mind, this gem was what was keeping him sort of immortal. So he just transports him, but drops him. So who knows if he's going to survive that fall. Thanos only cares about the simple fact that he now has 2 gems. What happens next is pretty cool. Thanos decides to rename them Infinity Gems because only one is an actual soul gem. So this is where they go from soul gems to Infinity Gems. And his next visit is the Gardener. In the Avengers Annual issue number 7, he also got the stone from the Gardener. This could possibly be why the Gardener knew who he was when Thanos arrived on the planet. They go on a walk and the Gardener lets Thanos know that the reason that he did not kick it with the elders anymore is because he desired peace, not power. He wants to tend to his garden, but Thanos lets him know that he needs that gem that's on his head for his own desires. But the Gardener lets him know that he's going to have to fight him to get it, even though he acknowledges that Thanos is going to be a problem because he has the other 2 gems. Thanos says that these gems come before all recorded time. Warlock's gem gave him the key to the souls of the sentient beings. Champion's gem gave him infinite power, and the Gardener's gem will give him the gift of time. This gem is how the Gardener's garden grew so fast and was able to maintain its peak. But Thanos says that the Gardener has not even gotten close to the true power of this time gem. Thanos takes the gem by using the power gem, which caused the plants to grow at levels beyond the Gardener's control. As you can see in this picture, it's pretty safe to say that his ass is dead. We end this issue with Thanos basically trying to convince himself that he gave the Gardener a choice. But we learned a lot in this issue. Mainly the infatuation for death seems to continue, but for the first time we get hint at some ulterior motives. We just don't know quite of them yet. Also, the soul gems have now been called the Infinity Gems, which is the name that we know them of today. So if you include that with the fact that this is sort of a relaunch of Thanos, this has some historical significance. But the next video will be covering the second portion of this quest. And that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Please keep in mind that these videos are fun to make, but they are very time consuming. So consider becoming a patron over at my Patreon. That's patreon.com/Eric D. July. And depending on how much you donate a month, you actually can get a direct request and I will honor it. I will cover whatever comic arc that you would like me to cover. So go to patreon.com/Eric D. July to get some more information. Until next time, y'all be easy.